Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Veil. I am your host, Julia Evans. Tonight's a little bit different. I'm going to spin things a little bit here. Thank you for everyone who's been coming on every week, tuning in and listening to me. For those of you who watch my YouTube channels after the episodes, and if anybody wishes to go back and see another episode, it is on good afternoon, Chantel. My YouTube channel is Julia Evans the Lily Nurse. I've got a few episodes. The first 10 episodes are on there, and there's a few other things that I did in my past. I'm going to say my past life as my book was coming out. So I just want to do a few thank yous as we start this 11th episode. So thank you to Cosmos Astrium Radio that you are listening to me on. This is a beautiful platform. Matt and Allison, I do appreciate you bringing me into your pagan family here and creating this beautiful platform and this space for me to do this show. This has been one hell of a journey for me, for my listeners, and I look forward to continuing this in the future. So last week, I did Tamara Miller from Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. She phoned in, and I know it was a little bit difficult to hear just because of the technical things when she called on my phone, and I'm just doing it over my microphone here. But she called in and we did an episode on numerology, which is very significant because it was episode 10 last week. And as I was looking at the numerology of that and looking at the number 1 and looking at oneself and that new beginning and everything, at the end of the program, Tamara, we dove a little deeper into the knowledge of numerology. But at the end of the episode, I actually got something that I didn't think I wasn't expecting it. And we talked about what 10 represents. And when you separate those two numbers, they're actually brought in together because 0 was actually looked at as well. So it's a whole entity of it's never ending, it's never breaking. And that 1 to look at oneself and to take care of oneself, which often a lot of us do not do, and I am really bad for that as well. Sometimes I forget to go for my walks or breathe in that beautiful air, and I'll be quite honest, when I don't take those moments for myself, I feel the weight of the world and the heaviness on my shoulders. So just a reminder once again for everybody, it's okay to take time for yourself. It's okay to pause the line, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Even stop the line, not just pause, but stop things that are taking your breath away so you can catch it. It's just like when you're running a marathon. Our lives are like a marathon, and sometimes we just have to take that break. We can't just keep running on full cylinders and full speed because we lose ourselves, we lose our breath, we lose the ability to see forward where we want to go in life. And this is, I guess, our permission, but an allowance for not just myself, but for you as the listeners to take that time. Now, I know a lot of my listeners, so if you're just tapping on or tuning in for the very first time, this program, Beyond the Veil, Exploring Holistic Realms, is more than just me talking. I open a platform of the things that are seen, unseen, known, and unknown. It's delving into the supernatural, that paranormal activity, angels, everything in between, talking about death, life, and near-death experiences. Because me, your host, Julia Evans, I'm a best-selling author of the book, The Lily Nurse, Rebooted, Rebirth, and Finding a New Path. Now, that is my first book that came out almost 4 years ago now, this March. So in a few weeks, she'll be having her 4-year anniversary. And I've been trying to get my next book out, and I've been saying it for a long time that it's ready to come out. and I just let it sit on my computer, and I rip it apart and I rip it apart, and I've signed a contract. Well, I talked to my publisher, my original one, Faye Thompson with Big Moose Publishing, and I said that we're going to get this book out. For the longest time, I didn't know why I couldn't release it. And the key word to that is release it. The title of the book is The Lily Nurse, Freedom, a Holistic Revision. And so as I've gone on this journey of life, like my life took a huge turn, like if you want to say like NASCAR driving, or like, what is it? Do you turn left or right in NASCAR? I don't watch it, but you just keep going in circles, and it's like a sharp turn, a sharp turn, a sharp turn. But that's what my life did. And as I was trying to catch my breath with these sharp turns and these obstacles that I was gifted, and I'm going to say gifted because it created this beautiful person that you're listening to. It created who I am, and I got to release a lot of things. But the title of the book is Freedom, a Holistic Revision. And I'm going to tap into that a little bit, because right before I came on tonight, I might even do a little reading from my old book. But I had messaged a friend of mine, and I said, "Oh, are you going to listen in tonight? I'm probably going to do a reading." And he said, "Oh, who are you reading tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." So I do have other modalities under my belt. I wear many hats, not just an author, but I am a certified BodyTalk practitioner. I am a medium. And I used to joke, and sometimes I still do, you can't go to the other side without bringing something back. And what I brought back is a knowledge of that sixth sense and that knowing, the knowing of who I am, that self-love. And over the last few years, I actually lost some components of that. And I fell into the chaotic world that all of us are living. And there was times where I thought, from being in heaven, and if you want to believe, God's hands with my near-death experience. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight, about the divine. And why I want to talk about the divine is because of this is the 11th episode, and that magical number, as we talked about last week, 11 is that connection with the divine. So I am going to tap into that a little bit as well. I'm just going to take a little breath here because I have 4 screens going at all times. If you want to contact me or make a comment, question, you can always go on Discord with the Cosmos Astrium Radio. I try to get to all of them as soon as I can. I also have my phone going, so some people who haven't connected to Discord and know me on a personal level, text me or Facebook me. I've got lots of screens going on. So if I pause, I try to read them as I go. Some of them that I do get are very personal, and then I help them with sessions after, because not only am I shifting as I'm talking about this stuff, but a lot of the people tuning in do as well. And shifting, what do I mean by that? Oh gosh, when people are like, well, what's a shift? So a shift is a change in your thought pattern or your perspective. It's when your cells and your systems, and this is a lot to do with BodyTalk, but it's the communication that's been broken within your cells and systems, and it's that reconnection. It's that reconnection to self. It's that reconnection to the universe, and the universe reconnecting back to you. It's plugging back in. And so when a shift happens, we either get to face the things that we didn't want to face, and we get to heal from it. And then there's also elements of letting go. But by the time your conscious mind wants to let something go, your subconscious has actually already released it, just to let you know. And it's just, we have to have a reminder or a permission that it's okay to let things go, and we don't have to hang on to everything, because we would be so heavy and we'd have a really big backpack that weighs us down, those heavy weights that take us down in our world. So getting back to my book and my friend about the reading. And so he just messaged me, and he said, brilliant friend, I think. My brilliant friend, that's for you, Sean, is, so he asked if I was going to do a reading. And I said, well, if somebody wants to call in, I can do a card reading, because I do tarot card readings and oracle cards. But I said, no, I was thinking about doing a reading from my book. And he goes, ooh, the new one. And I said, well, perhaps I will. And so right before I came on to the show, I printed off a chapter. And before I get into that, I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but I am going to read a segment of it. And it's called Both Sides of the Vital Machine. With that said, I am going to do a little bit of a reading from my previous book, The Lily Nurse Rebooted, Rebirth, and Finding a New Path, which you can find at local bookstores. If they don't have it, they can order it in for you. Or you can always go with that corporate company of Amazon, and it comes to your door within a few days. With that said, episode 11. So the divine. Ooh, I'm going to breathe that in. So last week when I was talking to Tamara, I had a big shift, and that's what I was talking about. So at the end, it was about 3/4 or so into the program, and we were talking about number sequences, and it's something either the divine or the universe, something is giving us a message that either we haven't been ready to see up to that point, or we finally are ready, and we end up seeing those sequence numbers over and over and over again until we're finally like, okay, I want to hear the message. So last week we were talking about, there was a few people were asking about 1010, 1212, 444, stuff like that, and we talked about that because those were comments. But all of a sudden I said that what my number sequence was, and that was 713. Now, I had done sessions with my girlfriend, Carrie Breyer. She's another BodyTalk practitioner, and actually an author as well. We have the same publisher, and we actually both came out the same day. That sounds weird. We didn't come out, but we came out of the shadows, and our books were birthed into this world together. So we basically our girls have the same birthday in our books. Anyways, but Carrie and I would do sessions, and this one day I had this agenda for myself of what is this number? And we looked a little bit deeper in it, and it was 713. Now 713, for those who have read my book, and for those who haven't, I'll just tell you a little bit about it. So I ended up having a near-death experience on my unit. So I am a registered nurse, and it was an anaphylactic reaction to lilies. Those beautiful, beautiful stargazer lilies, which has a very beautiful aroma, but very pungent, very strong. And my airway closed. You find that out halfway through the book, and I was given the wrong dose of epinephrine. I was given it, but it was the one that goes in the leg, so the intramuscular, and that was put right into my vein. So I got 10 times the amount, which caused me to have a near-death experience. So it actually put me at such a higher frequency. And what I mean by frequency, it was such a high vibration. My heart was not beating at all. My heart rate, well, I didn't even have a heart rate. It was called pulseless VTAC. And so none of the machines could register. And so I reached this level of whatever it was, but I went from blue to white to gray dead on the table with compressions, and then defibrillated twice. In the spot that happened, the bed that I was in was number 13. Now for me, number 13 has always been a lucky number, because it's always the number that's been hidden in our world. like in hotels and whatnot. They don't even display it on the elevator of number 13. Well, if you really think about it, number 14 is actually always number 13, if you really want to think about it. But it's always hidden. And that number 13 is so powerful because it is that feminine energy. It's really our original calendar of 13 months, where it used to be, our year used to be all 28 days, not just February, but all of the months of the 365 days. But it's also that feminine energy of that menstrual cycle with the moons. It's that moon energy. And so it's a very powerful number. It's not something that's unlucky, and it's not something that we should veer away from. But that was the bed, that was the stretcher that I was on. And in the spot that the stretcher laid upon was spot 7. And so throughout my stay in the hospital, and ever since that episode, or ever since that incident, I'll say, that sequence has been going through over and over and over again. And number 7 is significant, and I do write about this in my first book. It's about the alignment. Like, if you think that like your skin cells rejuvenate, 7 days? There's a lot of 7. Your chakras, there's 7 major chakras to gift you that Kundalini energy. There's 7 days of the week, and that last day is supposed to be a day of rest, which we never give each other, or give ourselves that. Anyways, I digress. We go back to that sequence number. And as we were talking and Tamara was talking, I added those numbers up. And it was the first time I did that, because Carrie and I looked at it as a biblical reading. And it's Matthew 7:13, 7:14, as I was shifting that energy, where I found my life again. But 7:13 is the divine. It's this episode. It is 11, and you don't break those two numbers. Just like when we look at 11:11, people say that's the gateway to heaven. But I was in spot 11, really, if you add those numbers up. So I had a very shifting, like full body tingling, like, whew, that was amazing. That was amazing. So anyways, that's about numerology. But it's all about the divine. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the divine, because I do talk about kind of the near-death experience. I've been going through a lot of twists and turns in my life, from separation to new house, different things that I've been going through. There has been a lot of deaths within, like, during these episodes, not of me, but of friends and whatnot. And actually the significance of that is there's been 7 deaths that I've had to go to funerals for. So for all the people who have crossed over, rest in peace. And I know that you're in a good space, very good space. So I am going to do a quick reading here. This one is going to be from my book, The Lily Nurse, Rebooted, Rebirth, and Finding a New Path. I'm just going to read just a small little section, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So I'm actually reading a little bit from chapter 11. It's called Debriefing. I'm awoken by a hushed chatter located in the hall, right outside of my hospital room. I hear familiar voices whispering about me. Most of it is vague. I can't quite make out all the words that are being said, but I know it's about me. Then I hear a loud and assertive remark from a nurse. "No, you may not enter her room," she says. "She has quite enough today. You may leave, and I'll tell her that you came by. Thank you." I'm a bit puzzled and taken back by her assertiveness, but pleased that she is advocating for me. I am completely drained and exhausted from the non-stop commotion that has been swirling around me the last 2 days. There hasn't been a pause ever since I stepped onto my unit 2 days ago, when my world completely changed. I hadn't had time to process any of this. I had been continually bombarded by people and their extra pieces to this obscure puzzle. I'm trying to put all of the puzzle pieces together so that I can get a glimpse of this whole picture and this crazy ordeal. All I want to do is get home and be with my family, hold them in my arms, and breathe. I don't want to believe that any of this is real. Now I'm going to stop there because I actually read this to myself before I came on tonight because I needed to read the chapter for me. And in my world right now, I've been going through memories of this incident, and people have been wanting me to focus on like the negative aspect. And after all these years, it's been almost 6 years, and I was finally diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And I said, do I actually have that? Or perhaps I had an awakening, or perhaps because of the incidences that has happened, I was fallen in a broken system. And I've said this on my show, and I will say it again. You can heal as much as you can, and you can start blossoming. But when you get put back into a toxic environment, or you get put back in that toxic waste soil, I'm going to say, it's going to keep burning you. It's going to keep dragging you down. But in this, when I talk about I didn't have time to pause, I had everybody come to the foot of my bed, and I tried to help everyone through their experience. I laid in my bed with a heart monitor, with oxygen. The first day, I wore the defibrillating pads for the whole entire day because they didn't think I was going to survive again. And so I was connected to the crash cart until the wee hours of the night when my girlfriend finally took them off, and she sat beside me watching me, and she was like an angel. And I talk about that in my I think it's my second chapter of my book, how she validated what I was going through. She started to let me breathe through it, even though I was very scared. So in this chapter, I was talking about how this nurse pulls a chair up beside me, and she's asking if I'm okay. And it's the first time that somebody asked if I was okay. And I didn't know how to answer because there was so much, and everybody telling me their piece of the story and how they were feeling and how they can't believe it happened. And not one person, not one asked me how I was. And the one thing that I was so upset about for the longest time was no one wanted to know if I went to the other side. Now, perhaps it was because of me and I wasn't ready to talk about it. I needed to know what I experienced, that I had reached the light. I had reached the darkness to get rid of what I needed to get rid of, that blank consciousness. But then I went into the light after the second time they lost me, right before they defibrillated me again. I was there with my mother, who had died in 1983, and she helped push me back. And throughout my first book, there's all hidden gems within it. And as my books come out, I bring out those hidden gems. And those hidden gems are, my mother is throughout that entire book. Even though I write that in a masculine energy or that yang energy, my mother is throughout that whole entire book. How the light that I see, it was the path that she was guiding me, because I needed her beside me. And it was either a butterfly or a light, the light of the sun rising, the light of whatever's in the room. Anyways, I shouldn't say anyways. It's the divine. With that said, I might have to adjust YouTube tomorrow. Oh, my girlfriend said it's a little pixelated. So sometimes this gets a little pixelated for people who aren't ready to hear. And I've said this to my girlfriend before. That's why I put it on YouTube too, because sometimes you need to see my face, that this is actually something that's happening. But sometimes we shift so much and it gets pixelated and we can't hear because it either is triggering us or there's things that we still have to go through in order to absorb this information. So hopefully it's not pixelated for everyone, but thank you, Chantel, for letting me know that. Okay, so a little bit about the other side. When I crossed over the first time, everything was very dark. And it wasn't like heaven and hell. That's not what I'm talking about. But there's an area of blank, and it's black, and it's where you almost gain your sense of knowing, because you let go of beliefs. It's like everything is just like swept off of you. And in that moment, I wanted to cry, but it was my heart. So the one thing that I herded, oh gosh, that's like a terrible word, herded. The one thing that hurt me the most in my life was losing my mom, and not believing that she was always with me, even though damn well I knew she was always with me in that spiritual sense, because I could always talk to her and tap into that energy. But it was me that felt that I was being ostracized for tapping into that. And I didn't have anybody else in this world that I could talk to about that this was a normal process, that there is another world, the other side, and there is things that talk to us. And for those of you who are not understanding what I'm saying, it's when the lights flicker. It's when you think of somebody who's passed and your favorite song comes on, or a song that reminds you of them, or a book falls off the shelf and a chapter or a page opens up that reminds you of them, or there's a feather on the ground, or a dime, or something significant. That's the other side talking to you. And I had to learn that later in life. And so I hid that very much. But I did hear my mother say, "Don't cry, honey, mommy's here." And when she said that, I was defibrillated back into this world, and everybody was working on me, but I wasn't back in my body. I was actually hovering over my body, and I begged to go back. I begged whatever is out there, God, the divine, whatever you believe. I'm not here to veer your belief system in religion or spirituality, whichever you think of. But I beg to go back. I would rather go back to that darkness and the unknown than what I was being faced with. With that said, when I went back the second time, when they said we lost her again, that's when I saw the light. And how I describe it, I describe it not differently in my second book, but more in depth, because I was ready to talk about it. It's not that it's just this light and it's like, yes, it's beautiful, it's miraculous, it's so much, it's so warm, but there's so much love within that light that's what radiates the light. That's that frequency. And it's like you're gifted the greatest gift, and that is self-love. And then you're able to gift it to others, but you're also able to receive it fully. And so that's that number 8, or that infinity sign, that it's just always flowing, never ending. So when I came back, again, when they defibrillated me, I came through that tunnel. I came through a light, and my mother was standing beside me. And she said, "I brought you back." Now, I do have a video, and I've never, ever put it up on anything. So I'm thinking that this year's anniversary, because it's such a significant anniversary for me, I think I will be putting that video up as I'm describing it for the very first time, just so it was out of my brain and so I could see it. And there's a light that it highlights it. It's like seeing the light with your own conscious mind right in front of you as I talk about my mother, and it looks like a overexposure of what's happening on my phone or my iPad, what I was videoing off of. Anyways, I'm gonna kind of pull myself back here because I was kind of going on like a little rabbit hole there because I do want to do another reading. So over the last little while, and for some of the people who know me very personally, with being diagnosed with this PTSD, finally, like there's a lot of things that have been happening with my daughter's break of her leg, and she's going through PTSD right now, but being on this side, watching her go through it, but allowing her to go through it and just holding that space that there's a lot of emotion, and if you push any of that emotion down, you're going to have to deal with it later in life, when you're 20, when you're 30, when you're 40, when you're 43 like me. And I never had the opportunity to debrief. I never had the opportunity to let any of that go. And I held it. I held it in my heart because I was not really sure of how people were going to take it. And I thought that I needed to like push through and not feel the piece of it, the piece of the puzzle, the piece of the story that was me, because I was missing in it. That's why I wrote The Lily Nurse, because my story needed to be told, not the stories that people that circulated throughout, I'm going to say the world because I've been to Dublin and back, and people in Dublin, and I think it was not just, well, it was Dublin with my cousin when somebody recognized me because I was their next read. But my story, everybody was telling my story of how they perceived it. And that's why I wrote The Lily Nurse, just so people could get my side of the story. Anyways, as I'm deflecting my actual next reading, I'm going to read this because as I'm standing on this side of watching my daughter go through this week, I stopped the line because through work they wanted me to go through this program, and they're like, tell us all the negative stuff. And I said, there's so much positive that happened. Like, it's divine, and I want to focus on that, and I want to focus on what transcended through that. And there's so much we can learn from that we can heal we can heal from past traumas. We can heal our wounds. We can. That disease is a dis-ease or a disharmony within our body. There's reasons why something happens to us where we get a cut on our leg, or even, and I'm going to say, like, even my daughter getting her leg broken, there was something in her subconscious that she could not hang on to anymore, and that's her story to release and let go of. But I stopped the line this week because I needed to pause, just like that nurse advocated for me, like, stop. She's just gone through so much. And so this week I did that for myself, and I advocated for myself. And so when my friend Sean said, are you going to do a reading of your new book? I am. And this is called Both Sides of the Vital Machine. I wake to the sound of the vital machine turning on as my nurse enters the room. It's a subtle, familiar sound I have grown accustomed to. I've been here before, but not like this. It's been well over a decade of being on the opposite side of this machine. But why now? Why am I made to experience it like this? Why can't I stay on the other side with this linear world of seeing what's in front of me so I can address the issue, fix it, and move on to the next patient or task at hand? And the sound of this machine that I long to be on the other side of now dilutes what I am truly feeling and experiencing. And I want my nurse to see me. See me. See me, I want to scream from the top of my lungs at her so the entire hospital can hear. See what I can see. Feel what I can feel. Help me understand what's going on. What is going on? I want to be back in the role I pride myself on, the nursing role. Not like this. Not in the patient role. I want to be back to something I can latch onto that I can think in a matter-of-factual comfort level within this life. What is this? To have your world completely flipped around so you can get a glimpse of the opposing side, the flip of the coin, the mirrored image of both worlds that are happening simultaneously. It's like a series of parallel scenarios, lives, and worlds all processing and existing all at the same time. I'm beginning to understand the magnitude of the webs that are weaved between these worlds. The worlds that we don't often want to believe are linked together in a time and space continuum, but they do become intertwined with each and every moment of our encountered own existing current lives. It's the subtleties and the annoyances of one's truth and experience that is often overlooked, but now it's right in front of my face. This loud notion and awareness of all of this. Now, I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but that's just a segment of Both Sides of the Vital Machine. Now, I do write a chapter called Both Sides of the Vital Machine in my first book, and I just highlighted more through this. So when I talk about that mirrored image, and like I said, people really wanted to somebody just pulled a card for me. I'm going to read that in a minute. Whew, thank you for pulling a card for me. So I really wanted to talk to people about, did I actually experience the other side? Can we actually talk about this? What are we afraid of? Are we afraid that we can pause? Are we afraid that we can love ourselves? Are we afraid of that infinite world that's out there? It's hope. Why can't we talk about that? Why can't we permit ourselves to breathe that in, to let our worlds all come together, because they are happening all at the same time. Okay, so there's just a little reading. So for those who are very excited to read my second book, I'm actually really excited to get it out. Why do I not bring it out? Well, there is still some things that I wanted to rip apart, but they're going in other books. It's been a lot, and it's been a lot to process. And I think deep down, because of the title Freedom, a Holistic Revision, as I'm going through this and as I'm like even doing this show and holistic sessions, teachings, all of that, I think I needed to fully submerge myself into this and have that freedom. Because how can you write about it if you don't truly feel it in your heart? So perhaps that's why I've resisted. There's a few other things too, but that is one of the reasons. Okay, so I love little comments because I'm on the fly when I do my show, as I don't really like planning things, because I have planned things in the past, like episode 3, and that's only half an episode because no one could hear what was happening. And that's when that supernatural things really come through, which I very much love too. Okay, so the card that was pulled for me, so Chantel said, pulled this for you from my moon deck. Okay, so thank you, Chantel. It says, the moon cycles are a reminder that everything in life is a process, and to trust that everything will unfold as it should. And the author of that is unknown. Whew, that gave me a little goosebumps. I love it when people gift me things like this as well, because yes, I am a BodyTalk practitioner. I have been to the other side. I'm a medium. I do cards and whatnot, but I love getting stuff done to me, because sometimes my conscious brain, that ego side, we all have that. We have both sides. I need to be, some things need to be highlighted for me too. So I get sessions on myself, and not just counseling sessions, but BodyTalk, acupuncture. There's lots of practitioners that I go and see. Different practitioners will actually try each other's modalities, so we can refer clients to one another. Kent Weir, him and his brother are on tour right now, but they're Shotai practitioners. So hopefully when they come back, they can come onto the show. I've worked with Kent for many moons, many, many moons. And we worked at Infinite Potential in Regina, Saskatchewan. That would have been 2019, so almost 5 years ago. So around this time, 5 years ago, I'm trying to think, was it 2019? No, 2020. I'm trying to remember all my dates. No, anyways, it doesn't matter the date. It was a few years ago. But Kent was a Shotai practitioner, and he does ideology. So he looks at the irises of your eyes. He does a technique that I do as a BodyTalk practitioner. It was 2019. Thank you, Chantel. Oh, Chantel, 2019. I know that, Chantel. Hello, Chantel. Love you, girl. That's somebody who's very dear to my heart because I work with Chantel as well. So with Shotai, Kent does something what I do as well. And so it's applied kinesiology, and it's muscle checking and muscle testing. And so we do a little bit different, but we do have elements that are similar. But he looks at the deficits and the excess of either minerals and whatnot within your being. And that's kind of what he does. And he asks the body, and the innate wisdom will express what needs to be diluted or given a little bit more of. So yeah, him and I still work together, but in that atmosphere, we had a good thing going. We had such wonderful practitioners, and all of us work together at this place, Infinite Potential, because that's what we all have, this infinite potential to heal and this infinite potential to do what we need to do in our lives. And so there was 7 rooms, and each room was chakra. And I had one of the last rooms, and so I had the green door, and so I had the heart chakra, and I finished writing my book there. That's right. It was 2019 because I finished writing my book there. I finished my BodyTalk courses there. I did full-time BodyTalk there. I loved it. But I got to dive really deep into my heart. Within that space, there was amazing front end staff as well. So Chantel, still miss you every day. I miss how you kept me organized and showed me the ropes of this computer stuff, and from cards to all of those wonderful trade shows and all of that. Katie as well, she did yoga with us, and she helped up front as well. But I would love to do another reunion with all of those. Wow, I haven't talked about those groups. I just kind of, I'll miss you too. I just got a little emotional there. I'm rubbing my heart, doing a little Reiki, because it's, when you go on journeys in life, sometimes you have to separate from everything. And then you bring what actually was true to your heart and what brought life, brought light, joy, what is light in your life, and what doesn't weigh you down but brings you like up. And so I'm finding all those elements again. But yeah, I miss that crew. That was a good crew. Unfortunately, the building had something with it, and not all the energies and all the people that were within that group needed to be together, but we were all supposed to build this matrix of what is yet to come. And I do believe that someday all of us will probably join back together to create something absolutely amazing. Because even my grandmother, it was connected to a nursing home or assisted living. Not really a nursing home, because they can take care of themselves, and then they go down and have meals if they so choose. It's beautiful, but Infinite Potential was attached to that. And so now my grandmother lives in that building, And so I hadn't been there for years since Infinite Potential had closed and I moved to a home-based business. And still to this day, when I walk in, I still have clients come up to me and they're like, oh, are you still doing sessions? And, oh, I miss the Infinite Potential, because they would always come down and get readings from me or sessions, and from the other practitioners as well too. We would go up into their theater room and talk to them and do lectures and presentations for them and help them on their journey. So it's talk about full circle. And those are the moments of divine. Those are the moments that we see, but it's the unknown. It's the unknown when we let go of that control and let go of trying to latch on to things. And it's okay to go with the flow. It's okay to breathe life in. Wow. I just had, breathe life in. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to take a sip of tea because holy man, it is dry. Here in Saskatchewan, for those who are listening outside of the province, we had a very cold spell, and then it got really warm to the point where people were wearing shorts. And now, for whatever reason, it got really cold again. The actual temperature's beautiful. I'm going to say beautiful. Saskatchewan, we think minus 19 and 16. Minus 16 is beautiful. But the wind chill is so cold, but it just dries out your house and your home. So like even my hair is a little like crazy today because I look like I'm from the science center and put my hand on one of those electrodes. My hair is just so staticky. I can't control it. Okay, so back to a little bit of the divine. I'm going to talk a little bit about my girlfriend, Carrie Breyer. Now, I know she's not listening. She's actually resting because she's going through some of her own things right now. And her and I always like to do sessions for each other. And, it feels like minus 28. Whew, that's cold. Thank you for letting me know. But back to Carrie. So she's going through some things right now. And right before I did the program, we just did a little like check-in on each other, and I made sure that she was okay and she vice versa. But I got to see her last weekend when I went to Saskatoon, and unfortunately I couldn't stay very long. I would love to stay in Saskatoon and do a radio show with Carrie one of these days. She gets a little nervous, but that's okay. It's not for everyone. But I just looked up, and Carrie actually just came back from Germany. I think I talked about that on one of my shows. And so she came to my daughter's volleyball. And as we're watching we're watching my daughter on the bench, cheering on her team with her titanium rod in her leg, healing and not able to walk, and getting the strength and support from her team, and then gifting them the same. It was the first time we had been back fully on the court since her break, so allowing her to feel what she needed to feel. And Carrie is a very dear friend. She's one of my best friends, not just BodyTalk practitioner, but I hold her so deep in my heart. And I think she recognized that it would have been hard for both of us, and she wanted to cheer Jada on for cheering on her team, and just to know that Jada has so much support. But then she came for me too, to give me support, and that angelic just hug. I'm going to say hug because it was this energetic, just like love. It was just this love, and she just makes me smile. But she just got back from Germany, and she brought me a coffee. I love my coffee. And she hands me this bag. And she goes, this is all the way from Germany. When I saw it, I thought of you. And so you'll be able to see it on YouTube. So I'm going to describe it. So it's actually a little ornament. And this ornament is gold angel wings. And she said, on the days that you forget that you have these wings, let me just remind you that they're always with you. And so thank you to Carrie for my wings. Because sometimes, just like all of us, we're all these beautiful, infinite angels here on this earth. We are all part of the divine. We're all part of this beautiful, spectacular world and universe. And sometimes we forget how special we are. And that at any moment, we can just spread our arms, spread our wings, and do what we need to do. And that's just like opening up your wings and taking that huge breath in. So yeah, I actually just put that in my office. I'm just hanging them back up. I put that in my office so I can see them every day and just smile. Just smile. So I'm going to actually end the show a little bit earlier tonight because I feel like I could share another story or another reading, but I'm just going to leave it at this. Believe in yourself. Believe that it's okay to take these pauses in life to actually take care of yourself. Those moments when you're either struggling or not. When you see that beautiful sunrise, when you see the beautiful sunset, when you see the cotton candy sky, when you see the glimmers of hope in your life, it's okay to breathe it in. It's okay to look at the joy and not always the negative in life. I bid you all farewell and goodbye, not goodbye forever. Thank you for tapping in and being with me tonight. I will post this on YouTube. Actually, I might post it tomorrow. Blessed be everyone. We're all here for a reason, and honor yourself. Make sure you spread your wings and get a lot of flight. Get a lot of air within those lungs. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.